roaches in my ashtray and roaches in my cereal. Air Force knockoffs with the Gucci print material. Way before the iPhones, Twittergram, socials. I'm talking about Nextel, Chirps, Boost, Mobiles. Back when the face that was for OG killers. Now I'm seeing teardrops on you SoundCloud niggas. Remember back when music had content and metaphors. Way before the mumble nonsense and popping handlebars. All these rappers, junkies talking like they dope dealers. This call is still code 6.
Okay, so here I am at my computer, laptop, whatever. Just gonna go over some of the sizes. I mean, not the sizes, the wheel options that I had. I mean, not wheel options, tire options that I had. So this is the first 3, and then another 2, and another 2, and another 2. So I set it up because it's actually a lot to talk about. So I'm gonna start from the top. Just a reminder, these wheels are 19 by 15 and a half with the -47 offset. So they're 9-inch lips, wedge Seaver's tooths. And as far as tire sizes, I'm not trying to go for something that's gonna have a lot of stretch because I'm kind of going for a function over form type of thing with this build. It's supposed to be a street/track car, so I want to have as much tire traction as I can, which is why the wheels are so wide. So yeah, I'm not looking to do like a lot of stretch, so I'm not trying to fit any crazy tires on there. What I was looking at was kind of like 345s, and I also was looking at a couple 355s. So for starters, we're gonna just go ahead and start off with the first one, which is this one right here. And I basically got it set up where it's the cost, the biggest size they come in, pros and cons. So that's what the green and red is. But the first one, they don't need an introduction. Everybody knows these tires. They're pretty famous in the aftermarket world, but they're the Toyo Proxys R888s. I'll include some pictures of that. So as far as I don't even really feel like I need to talk about the Toyos because it's hundreds of videos out there on the R888s. So I'm gonna just leave it at the cost for a 345 3019, which is the highest size that they run for 19s, is about $500 per tire. So they're kind of expensive. They're up there. Now, outside of the expensive cost, you know, some people don't really know whether they're paying for the brand name or if they're paying for the actual quality of it. But it's also, you know, not made for driving in the winter or sitting in the winter. And that's going to be a common thing for a lot of tires that are in this category. So I'm going to just move on because those don't really need too much of an introduction. The Nittos, so these are Nitto INVOs. That was the second option that I had on here. I include some pictures on that. But basically these come in a 345 3019 as well. So this is a really common size, and it's also the largest size that I can find as far as most of these tires go when it comes to getting them. So I couldn't find a lot of information about these tires specifically. They are close, you know, about the closest that I can get to all season tires with the exception of one other tire. But they are aftermarket performance, and when I was looking, it wasn't too much that I could find outside of the fact that they have like angle grooves in them to cancel out noise, and they're supposedly really good on tread wear. But that was pretty much it. The next one, these right here, those you can clearly see I don't have that much information on them because it was kind of a thing where I figured out that they fit, and then I immediately decided that I wasn't going to go with those. And for obvious reasons. These are Hooster Sports. So for people that are not familiar with that brand, these are basically complete drag, you know, radial tires, Formula One type tires with absolutely no reason for somebody to be running these on the streets because you have zero traction whatsoever. God forbid you run into some rain It'll be like your wheels turn into bars of soap. So immediately took out that option, but I left it in here just for the purpose of the video and me talking about it. But those also came in 345, 30, 19. The Nittos were about $360 to $400 per tire. The Hooster Sports were $500 per tire. So that was that. And then we kind of get into the fun stuff, or what I would like to consider the fun stuff. So these are tires, well, basically from this point on, these are tires that have been OEM equipment on a lot of very high-end cars. So for starters, I'm gonna just go with the Kumo, I don't know how to pronounce that, Exta or something like that, the V720 ACRs. These tires, hint the name, were made specifically for the 2016 Dodge Viper ACR, which is currently the fastest, I think it was like the fastest road track car that Viper ever made, or something like that. It holds something like that. But yeah, it's like it's no joke. It's a Dodge Viper ACR and a 2016 at that. These are actually in the 355 3019, so it'll be less of a stretch on the actual tire. So there was that. Then on top of that, they're DOT approved. You know, they're made to comply with the extra 1 ton of downforce that the ACR produces. They're made specifically for that car and everything that it is capable of. So I'll throw some specs up, maybe a couple of features, so that you can know exactly what that car was able to do. Whereas on the other end, we have the Michelin Pilot Super Sports, and these, which kind of got me a little bit, but these were actually very recommended as far as daily driving and reliability, because they were built to last by Michelin. Michelin built these tires so that they could perform on the Le Mans 24-hour races. And when they did that, even for such a wide spec, they only ended up changing like 11 tires in the race, over 3,000 miles with an average of 140 miles an hour. So if I'm not going to be driving that fast that long, but it's still cool to know that they'll last, and you know, they won't be costing that much. So that was one thing that was cool about them. They are the standard equipment for the 599 GTO from Ferrari, so that was pretty cool. And they're also standard equipment on some of the older base model Vipers. They perform very well in wet and dry conditions, all that. The thing that is kind of bad to it is that they're not made to drive in snow or ice, and that is going to be the same thing for the ACR. But the ACR tires, the Kumos, actually have a chance of hydroplaning over large puddles of standing water and stuff like that. So to compare those two, the ACRs are $370 per tire, and the Michelin Pilot Super Sports are $440 per tire. All right, next up I have the Pirelli P0s. So these tires have been around, like they've been almost everywhere in terms of the supercar, exotic car business, or whatever you want to call it. The P0s are pretty widespread as far as what cars they came on and stuff like that. Some of them pretty cool, but the fact that it came on so many different cars is what makes them kind of stand out. So just to go down a little bit of the list, because there's more, but they were the OEM specs tires for the Aston Martin DB9, the Audi R8, the Ferrari 599 GTB Furiano, the Lamborghini Murcielago, the Maserati, I think it's the Quattroporte Sport GT, and a whole bunch of different cars from the Mercedes-Benz AMG lineup. So they have a lot of different applications. Pirelli has been around for 100 plus years. They've been doing autocrossing for all those times, so these tires are definitely made to perform. They got noise canceling foam inside of them. They got carbon reinforcement inside the tires. So these tires are pretty, built to take a beating. But at the same time, they cannot be used in the snow or freezing temperatures and stuff like that. It's not recommended. There is no hydroplaning thing for these again, and they're all season tires, I believe. Yeah, they are all summer tires. So that same thing with them not being able to be driven in freezing to low temperatures, that still applies with them. So yeah, that's pretty much that. I think they don't have the hydroplaning issue either. The next one up is the Michelin Pilot Sports Cup. So it's just like the Super Sports, but it's the upgraded version of it. Basically, instead of focusing on the tread life completely, they also focus on the performance. And these ones are OEM tires for a couple of hypercars, such as like the 918 Spider. These are the OEM tires for the 918 Spider, the Mercedes AMG Black Series, Ferrari 458. I think there's a modified version of the Michelin Pilot Sports that are on the Bugatti Veyron and the Agera R. The same. They basically use the same tire. It's just a different mounting procedure, with the Bugatti tires being glued on. But they are the same tires they are the Michelin Pilot Sports Cups. So these are made to perform. And based on the cars that they're on, they do a pretty good job at it. But that performance comes at a cost, which is going to be weaker tread life, of course. And it can't be driven in this freezing temperatures. There's also a hydroplaning risk for these. So that was that. But these are also limited to a 345 3019. So there was that. As far as those go, definitely going to be $500 per tire, $500 or more, depending on where you get it from. So the last two that were on my list were Pirelli P0 Corsas, which is basically the upgraded version of the P0s. Those are going to be $520 plus. Like, those are some pretty expensive tires. Most expensive ones on the list, to be honest. They are the OEM tire for the Ferrari 360 Challenge cars. They put them on the Lamborghini Gallardos. They put them on both the Porsche GT2 and GT3 cars. And it wasn't much else that I could find on them for the positive note, but at the same time, for the negative note, pretty much have the same stuff. Can't store them or drive them at anything less than 32 degrees. There's a hydroplaning risk. And that was pretty much it as far as those go. The Nitto NTO5Rs. These are competition drag radial tires. They are DOT approved. I'm trying to think. Most people end up using them on like Mustangs, twin turbo Huracans, and stuff like that for like performance, drag specs. But I did later on end up finding out that these are the tires that they put on the Dodge Demon, the rears for the Dodge Demon. So that was something. It does say that they're not really meant to be driven on the street, but it can be driven on the street. And those will cost around $420 a tire at the 345 3019 range. So that was pretty much the lineup that I had. And keep in mind, again, these are just for these rear wheels. So for the front wheels, I'll probably be running a different type, different tire completely. But the ones that I'm going to go with first, I think I'm going to go with the Kumos, the ACR tires. And even though they have that hydroplaning risk, it's not going to be too many times that I'm driving in the rain, unless it's on like a road trip or something like that. But basically I'm picking those because of them being specially made for the ACR, which is going to be meeting a lot of the, it's going to be doing a lot of the things that I'm going to be trying to do with this car, because it's basically what I'm building this car for. The tire fitment is going to be better, since that's one of the two that I was able to find in the 355 3019. So that'll be more surface area that's touching the ground, more traction. And on top of that, they're kind of cheap compared to the rest of them. $370 per tire is what I put in here. But when I looked them up on eBay and TireRack.com, they were more so closer to the $330, $320 range per tire. So that was something else that I was also looking at. But those are the ones that I'm going to go for. If it doesn't work out in the end, I'll probably just come back, make another video, and explain why it didn't work out, which ones I was going to try next, and all that stuff. But yeah, at the end of the day, the rears are going to be the Kumo Extra 7 V720 ACR tires. So that pretty much ends this whole tire discussion. Make sure that you guys like, comment, and subscribe in order to follow the build. And just a little side update, I did end up getting the stickers for right here. It's basically Dare to Be Different, the same ones that I had beforehand, but this finish is what is it called? I think it's called Confetti, from the place that I get my stickers from. So if you look at it, it's kind of got like a, here, let me see if I can do it, but it has like a shine to it. There you go. And I got it in this finish so that it could complement the crystals, both kind of like twinkle or whatever. But that was pretty much that. And another thing is that I got a package from Starry Night Halos, which is basically the last pieces that I need to finish this whole entire headlight build. I can finally install these, and just put the whole thing together and be done with it. So I'll be making a couple videos on that as well. Just stay tuned. And like I said, like, comment, subscribe, follow the build. Until then, I'm out.